They introduce the song, and that then they lead it, and that's been a really neat way to help those volunteers feel like they're actually doing something, right? Uh, so anyway, that's kind of a long answer to your question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, those are good tips. And I just love that window singing.
Oh, it's
I
been
wish
so
that we could
cool.
get that together.
Yeah, the window serenading has been really cool. Initially last year, we part of the motivation for doing it was that some of our participant singers had to move into community care because family couldn't manage them very well anymore. So we were going first to the facilities where those elder singers were, but then we branched out and offered to come and sing to anybody who wanted us to. And I'll tell you, it's pretty moving. It's pretty cool. And now we can meet a little bit. Like everybody came outside the other day. We were at St. Anne's, and we have little songbooks. We handed them out to the people who lived at St. Anne's, and they sang along. And they're like, "Can we keep this songbook?" It's like, "Yeah, for sure. I hope that you get together and sing tomorrow." So anything we can do to promote that healthy interaction.
So how big of a group do you have typically that
When we
does
go
this?
up for window serenading, it's between a dozen and 16.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you masked? I mean, were you masked when you
Well,
started, I would imagine?
when we went to a community environment yesterday, they asked that we be masked. At another one, they said, be masked until you get to where you're going to be singing. Then, when you're in that room, you can take off your masks and sing. So it's really all about what does that place need, and we'll do whatever they say.
Oh,
We were able to use some grant money to purchase a nice keyboard so that we don't have to rely on anything that might be in a building in a community. We bring our own. And we have some amplifiers and microphones, and all of that helps address some of the issues around hearing, and really being able to feel safe to join in singing for the folks that we are going to see. And I think I mentioned earlier today, we've started doing the chicken dance every time we sing. And I have to tell you, everybody has a blast. And folks are like, oh, they did that at my wedding 50 years ago. I remember, oh, yeah, I wish I could get up and do it again. So lots of engagement. And that's what we're looking for.
Could we have a demonstration, Karen?
No. I'm at the piano. I don't dance.
One of the modern.
That's right. This is down. One time,
modern version of the polka, right?
Yeah, I think our kids did that growing up at their school dances and stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I don't know. We did it once or twice in our chorus with Jeannie.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Just like a fun thing, sometimes you simultaneously break into something, and yeah, stuff like that is so fun, and especially when it can involve movement and
right
memory parts of, yeah, love it.
So we'll follow that up with she'll be coming around the mountain. That's got all kinds of motions, and people, if you don't know the words, you can do the toot toot or whatever, or hi babe. That's always a fun one. People like a lot. And it's just the thing about having fun together.
Yeah, well, the hokey pokey is another big.
Oh no, there's one. I'm going to put that on my list, Joe. Thank you.
No, I love that idea so much, and I'm going to think more on it for us from Minneapolis because, like I said, lots of our volunteers have said, nah, not until we're in person, and because it didn't do it for them. And now with the pandemic stuff, if you're vaccinated and people feeling more comfortable, and like you said, we have had quite a few of our singers that have moved on into a cared living situation. It's fun to go around and to see them and welcome them back maybe before our new semester, or just do it. So
I think that portable keyboard thing is a great idea. We got one at our church, so we could move our rehearsals outside initially and stuff. And they're not very expensive. And then, like you said, some of the new ones are so cool. You can change the key of a song. You just turn a dial and you can, instead of transposing, you can play it as written and the machine will do it for you. Pretty
Yep,
cool.
that's what ours does. It's fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's part of that ADEI journey to be able to have some quality accompaniment in an environment where they don't have anything, or what they have is 100 years old and hasn't been tuned for 200
Right.
years. So
Yeah.
it really is about trying to meet that mission, you know, for the inclusion, the diversity, and the access, and the equity. All of that is just so important.
And I don't know, I can't remember. There's some grant that we got in Rochester that was for equipment. And I don't know if it's under ADEI or some other, I can't remember we're pretty new to the board, but I remember they got a several $1,000s worth of equipment grant, probably to help with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we did too, and it's proved very helpful. I mentioned in the chat with the last group presentation that we've been able to get tablets for some of the congregate living places that have zero money for anything like that. So now they have that, and they've been tuning into our sing-alongs on Zoom. And that has made a lot of difference in the lives of the people who are living in those settings and the staff who work there to support those folks. It's been great. And some individuals have also received those tablets because they had no means at all, and they loved the choir, and it was so healthy for them, but they couldn't access us. So we've done some really positive things along that ADEI with technology. Yeah.
I hadn't thought, I thought that was a great idea. Someone also had is maybe to have a caregiver from a visiting nurse or someone else be with someone, or maybe help them with a rehearsal.
Yep.
We've done it at a few centers, like Assisi Heights, where we have nuns, retired nuns, some of them sing in our choir, and they couldn't handle the technology.
Right.
But there were some aides who could do it there, but I was thinking in some other places, if maybe we could have a visiting nurse or visiting aide come, who's much more facile with technology, and just be with them. So I hadn't thought of that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I have a question for you on that too, Karen, is you must have had contacts within these facilities to do that was willing to work with you, because I assume that you did this starting in the pandemic when they weren't letting people in, or has this been more recent when you can actually go and get set up?
Yeah, we were a few months into the pandemic, and so we used the wellness staff, or some places call them activity staff, to find out what their needs were and if they would be willing. And of course, it's a big thing. You've got to have somebody who can get it turned on, get the person there or the people there. I mean, we've had groups of 7 folks living in community, all on the same iPad that they can then run through a smart TV.
Oh, okay.
So because they do what mirroring, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
But you have to have a commitment on the other end. And really, they've come through pretty darn well.
Wow, that's great. I mean, because we had thought about it, and one of our volunteers had whose wife had passed away, and he had reached out to the facilities director, or activities director, whatever, there to do it. But she was like, yeah, they didn't have anything. They had nothing. So we would have had to get something and then to train him up on it. And then, she would say, well, too, it's a matter of the staffing, and do we have time, a time slot available and someone available for it. There was just so many unknowns that we did not pursue that any further at that time.
Yeah.
And I had willing people, but just, so.
We found 2:00 on Sundays to be probably the best bet. And that's when we would usually have our rehearsals, is 2:00 on Sundays. So our core choir people were accustomed to that. And actually that 2 o'clock time is not long before shift change for a lot of the congregate living. So it can, if you get 6 or 7 folks all set and then have them participate in this, then you can do report and help folks that maybe need to get up from a nap and know that the other people are engaged in an activity. We've
Mhm.
had staff that stay and help prompt people to participate too. Being sing-alongs, we've made it as generationally appropriate as we can. So that, I think that's probably helped too.
Mhm.
Fabulous.
Because they were just saying that our population does better in the morning. So their rehearsals are at 10 in the morning.
Mhm.
You know, they have to make a shift for an afternoon concert because there's better attendance in the afternoon.
Right, yeah.
No, I was going to say we have, well, a mother-daughter situation that used to sing with us in person. And then the mother, she's actually now in hospice. I was with the morning chorus and she's been logging in dutifully with her mother, but her mother is usually asleep, you know, and it's just, it's wonderful because you know she's listening and taking it in. But then she just figured out, you know what if I went on to the 1 o'clock one? And it's amazing. The mom is up.
Oh, wow.
She's in hospice and she's, you know, obviously not capable of what she was, but she is singing and paying attention. And it just brings tears to my eyes to just,
Wow.
Nice to have the option of multiple ones, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad we figured that out for her. But yeah.
That was sure fun to see that Amazing Grace clip just before the, you know, at the end of the last session.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of bringing
It was.
tears.
And you know, I'm trying to think how many years that's been going. I think at least 3 years. I don't
Yeah.
know. I should know, but I haven't seen any of their stuff. I know one of it came by in a recording, and then I meant to go see it and I never did. And it's really wild. It's really wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I lost one of my best volunteers that I had to that when it started up. She was actually part of another gospel chorus. And so she was like the perfect fit to go over here for it. But I know she's not with them anymore. Yeah, and that reminds me, I should try to get her back for us. It was
Note to self.
really amazing. Yeah. So what about you all for the fall and getting people back if that's an issue for you? Is that something that you're worried about at all, or?
But, you know, we actually have started some in-person rehearsals already in Rochester. We had, you know, some concerns, but I guess one nice thing is your Rochester's super highly vaccinated, and our case count is really, we're like over 80% of our population who's eligible has gotten vaccinated in Olmsted County. So, you know, it helps, obviously huge help to have Mayo here with all their employees getting vaccinated, et cetera, or people knowing about medical things. So our case count is super low. The church we rehearse in, that we are partners with, has installed these air filters and has that high flow air system that apparently makes it safe to have their services there. You know, they have that high air turnover, et cetera. We surveyed our membership, our singers, and more than 95% were vaccinated and wanted to meet in person and sing. We're willing to. And so our board decided to do like a summer short session as a kind of a trial to see how it worked out. We've modified things. We sit several feet apart in the sanctuary. We're not up on the stage together as usual, but we're kind of in sections together. our social hour, we've been holding it outside instead of inside. So we're doing it after our rehearsal and doing that outside. And guess we'll make a decision after that. Knowing the summer, the weather would be good, but you know, Minnesota, we can't do that for too long. I'd say it's been amazing. So I missed the first two, but I went to one this past Tuesday, and it's just great. I mean, it's emotional to be back in person with people. Interestingly, we haven't seen the volunteers yet, so I don't know if they're, you know, it's summertime. I think, you know, usually we have several greeters and people that welcome people in and the social time stuff, and they haven't been there. And I, like I said, this is my first one back, so I really didn't know what's been happening with them. But so we're not doing a performance this summer. You know, we're going to do our next thing will be at that Alzheimer at the conference in October, the dementia conference, I know, at Mayo.
Mhm.
And then we're hoping to do a concert though in November in person. So I guess we'll see. You know, we'll kind of see what happens with Delta variant, or you know, it's all of our plans are written in pencil, knowing they can be erased pretty quick. But
Think you're back in person. I love that. I guess I wasn't maybe listening close enough at the beginning. I didn't realize anybody was doing that. But so I just have a question for you on your spacing. So you don't have volunteers. So I assume that your duos sit together, just like in the virtual stuff.
I mean, I don't know if it's 6 feet, to tell you the God's honest truth. We left an empty chair between people. So maybe 3 feet, you know, but we're not singing at each other, I guess. We're, you know, singing out. So yeah, like I'm volunteering and there's a guy, but we skipped a seat. So I can at least see what he's up to and help him out that way. It's a challenge, you know, to be as personal, but I think people are just so thrilled to be together. And
Yeah.
you know what I hadn't thought about, I heard the guy from Illinois, I forget his name, the man from Illinois, talk about liability. I'm like, I haven't really thought about liability insurance and that, but I think people are, you know, I don't know, they're volunteering to come in.
Your choruses have liability insurance?
I don't know, but
I had no idea. You know, he was talking about
we're
it.
under the umbrella. Yeah, I'm not on the board, and you know, I do my volunteering thing. And there's a lot more that goes behind around me that I don't know. But you know, we are under the umbrella with our partnership with McPhail, which is a music school, and so we have all kinds of limitations that they have, you know, that we go with, and so and they're also a school that teaches children. So that's going to be a consideration for us, because in the building, you know, they will have children who are, if they're under 12 or whatever, unvaccinated. And how do we deal with using common elevators? And, you know, we have all that to figure out. But I think that liability piece has a lot to do with it. You know, what limitations are going to have. Like even this summer, I don't think they're open yet, but we had Jeannie Brinley Barnett, our musical director, and our pianist, and then the administrative person, Quinn Shadco. The three of them were allowed to go to McPhail, and then they, you know, do the main broadcast from there, so that you have the piano and you have a director and singer, and then they can have 3-part harmony if they need to, which has been wonderful. But they had a very special permission, and every time they come into the building, you know, they still have to take their temperature and do all this restrictive things for a long time. And they were the only ones that were in the building doing lessons. So anyway, that's just kind of our unique thing. So I wish we knew more so we could kind of plan for it, but yeah.
I don't know, but you know, I guess maybe we're going more out on the limb to do it. I mean, the church that we're with is Susie Johnson, our musical director's church, and they're, you know, love them. They're an evangelical, you know, church. So they've they've been meeting in person a lot at their church, so I think it's not
Oh.
like an issue for them to have us there. I mean, that's kind of the way they've been working. I think they've been having in-person services and doing all sorts of stuff. So obviously we're on the board, so we're trying to be sensitive that, what are we being safe and good and the right
Right.
thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Karen, does your chorus have insurance?
I believe we do. I believe we do. Yeah. And we're hoping to start in person in our usual rehearsal space, which is a church, the first Sunday of October. We're going to modify a little bit by having social time and warm-ups in what's called the social hall. And then we will move into the sanctuary space for the actual rehearsal. So we're going to do kind of a modified following CDC guidelines in terms of singing experience.
mhm.
We were hoping to have a multi-generational experience for this next session, but until the little ones can be vaccinated, we'll have to stick with teenagers and young adults for the multi-generational aspect for guest musicians. But down the road, we'll get the little kids involved, and that'll be real fun too. So.
That's cool. Do you do rehearsals together, you mean, or performances?
Well, for example, our concert for spring of 2020, was it? Was supposed to be with some teenagers on ukuleles for a couple of the songs that were from the 1920s, right when the ukuleles were being imported from Hawaii, and all the fun history about how the cultural music changed to include ukulele opportunities. But so we had just had our second rehearsal with the ukulele ladies when we had to cancel. So we're hoping to get them back on board for, if not next spring, then next summer. And they'll be older now, or maybe they'll be different young ladies that are doing the ukuleles. Anyway, so yeah, we do try to do that as much as we can. We have some volunteers that are teenagers,
Oh, neat.
and they do it either through a family member contact or through a church when they want to do some community service. We are going to have a fraternity and a sorority involved this coming session from UMD. So they'll help count as kind of the multi-generational group too. Yeah, so we do have some kids involved. We will be hopefully starting up October 3rd. We are requiring vaccinations and proof of. We just can't take the risk of not having the proof. And we are considering how we might be able to do a virtual presence, like with the iPad on a chair sort of thing.
Mhm.
But we'll see how that plays out.
We did offer this to be hybrid, so we asked our members, and we've tried to set up an iPad, but no one's taken advantage of the at-home aspect of rehearsal so far.
Okay.
I know it'd be a huge challenge. I mean, obviously they can't sing. I mean, they can sing into their computer, but we can't have their singing, be live and be way off time and stuff. So it's more a passive take in the stuff and see see what the director is doing and stuff. But so far, no one has requested. Yeah.
Well, our thoughts is that we went to a hybrid thing, but we would still keep a dedicated Zoom rehearsal.
Oh, separate?
We can really attend to the need. I don't know if it's really going to happen. At least the last time we met and talked about it, when this was all still in theory, which it still is, but we thought, because when we surveyed people back in June, it was kind of still a little bit not so vaccinated then, but there were people that is just the convenience of this, you know, instead of being in downtown Minneapolis and our parking situation, and like, this is just really easy, we'd still have to keep doing it. So we're going under the assumption that we will have one chorus that is just, you know, only for the virtual people.
Wow.
Numbers yet, or if that actually will happen, but we just thought for the quality of the program and for the number of people that we anticipated having it, that we would do this. And we have picked up throughout the pandemic too, we picked out some people either have moved, like we have one couple that moved to Michigan. We have others that are coming in from, you know, outstate Minnesota. Yeah, and for a while there was a mother and a daughter duo that was, the mother was in Texas or whatever, and they were able to join on. And so there are some kind of cool things that happen that maybe we can keep going with that.
That's very cool.
And I mean, that's what a lot of people have said about the pandemic. You know, it's kind of brought out a few positive things with a lot of negative things, but a few positive
Yeah.
things. Like
Yeah,
Zoom
positive.
experience or like access, if that's the A, you know, obviously increases access.
It does. No, I don't know if we have funding for that.
Right.
All that goes, that still kind of sounds really expensive, but you know, that's our hope anyway.
And then I don't know if either of you tried, we tried having our members record parts, you know, and putting them together. Hugely difficult with this population, you know, that recording on your own is just, I think Susie, our artistic director, actually went to a few people's homes and recorded them herself, you know, just because
Was it audio recording or video and audio?
well, the initial plan was video and audio, and eventually became video audio. Because doing both was even worse, you know.
Yeah, well, we thought of going to doing the video too, and then, but yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, we've done it 3 times now. Kind of, I don't know, it's all a blur, but it got easier the more they did it, but you know.
Yeah. I
And
think on one song we might have, you know, recorded a Zoom session of us singing, and then did our audio, you know, kind of dubbed it as we did our audios together, you know.
yeah, that's exactly how we did ours.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we did ours, but you know, very coordinated. It took a lot of planning. And,
Oh yeah, a lot of.
and we hired professionals that actually put it all together. That was not done by just us regular people.
It's hard. I know our church choir, we each recorded videos at home and uploaded them. And then we hired, I think, someone from the Twin Cities to do it. It takes a professional to really, we had to time it out. So you have to time it beforehand so they know when to start. And, you know, you have earphones on, you're listening to your cues and you're singing it. And it's horrible to listen to yourself sing. That's my experience.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Our director said, do not listen to yourself. Do not listen to your recording.
Yeah, but you know, it was also very impressive how, and surprising how people figured it out. I mean, because you have every kind of technology and every kind of knowledge about that. But most of the phone calls came in to me, and you know, people figured it out, or they get their kids to help them, or
Right.
and some of them were just darn impressive. Like they knew way more than me, you know, and to kind of do things sideways, you know. So thank goodness for that, because that was a lot of fun, but it was really a lot of work too. So hopefully we won't be having virtual concerts anymore. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe for this virtual group, we probably still will. I didn't really think about that. But yeah. So other topics, anything else? Let's see.
Well, one thing we're trying to work on now that we're new to the board, you know, we're kind of at that phase. I think we've been running on grant money, but kind of realize now we're gonna have to build our donor base more and stuff.
Yeah, any ideas?
I don't know if you've been involved with fundraising much or.
The Victory Chorus was started by a 501 group called the Victory Fund.
Oh.
So they are a major donor, and over time they are going to pull back as we develop. And so then we've been able to get some grants, as I mentioned earlier, which has been super helpful.
Mhm.
We're actually working on a grant that involves a partnership with a couple of other different organizations, all with the goal of the ADEI work. So we haven't heard yet as to whether or not we've received that grant or not. But yeah, it's we've got to get a little bit more figured out on how to try to find a steady funding stream. And the Victory Fund has been just a huge gift to us. And they have other things that they want to fund. So
Yeah, I think that's, I guess I'm kind of new to the nonprofit world, but that's a common thing. There are often organizations that are giving you kind of seed money, get things going, and then they hope that you figure out your own way to get
Yeah.
money, whether it's.
Yep.
Have you guys done any fundraisers that were particularly good?
we haven't done any fundraisers yet. We haven't had to, and it's been a real luxury. And we don't have any cost expectations from our singers.
Right. No.
So no, we haven't. How about you? Have you done any?
We haven't. We've sent out a few letters based on people who come to our concerts or people we think would be friendly, but and then we've done some Facebook, kind of thing, that Giving Minnesota thing. We've just became our own 501c3, just complete. We were part of the Rochester Foundation, area foundation before they kind of sponsored us.
Mhm.
So we're kind of new to the game. We've heard great things about Giving Voice, what a great fundraisers they've had. But
Yeah, so I have not been involved with the fundraisers up until like this past year, except for like giving, because
Yeah.
one of the things that they do, or one of the groups that is where we get money, and I have no idea how much or what proportions or whatever, but we have something called the Founders Circle, which is an outreach to our singers themselves, saying they can give in any amount, and I think it was a commitment of so many years, but I haven't heard that so much. And just, asking for donations from our singers, and then once a year having like a nice thank you kind of a deal, like cake and a prepared video or something like that we used to do at McPhail. We did, I think we did a virtual one of those recently. And then we also, they used to do these little salon things, which I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I've never been to one. They never invited me to one. Obviously my voice isn't good enough, but it would be in the home of a board member, and they would have, some kind of nice, hors d'oeuvres and a small program prepared with a smaller group of singers that would come and sing and tell their stories. And that would be some kind of a pitch. That's all I know about that. And Nancy Fusion and some of the GVI board would know more about that kind of stuff, but we did those. Those have gone on because I've known behind the scenes of singers that have participated in those. But I know also we have a contract grant writer that works with us, and she's, that's what she does. And she, scans these things and puts together these complicated proposals. And
Right.
like you say, I think most of the money now are for this kind of ADI stuff. It's kind of harder and harder I think to find just pots of money that you can use in any way you want. That's like, I don't think it's a full-time job, but it's a very big job for her to do that. And then the other thing that we tried is, because we couldn't do in-person salons, is we held in June a virtual fundraiser. that we produced, just like we would do our concert, probably even more so. And we had guest artists, a well-known pianist and an opera singer from from the Twin Cities do like a performance at the home of, I think it was at one of our board members. And then, you know, it was sprinkled in with bits of video from our rehearsals and our performance and other, you know, board members speaking. And it was, you know, Nancy Fusion, who has the background in producing from NPR in her whole career, helped put that together. And so
Very professional. Yeah.
go out and look at. And then it was like, you know, like a telethon thing where people would be able to give money and they were given the opportunity to do that. And I think it was considered a success. I don't know how much it actually brought in, but it was a huge production to try to pull off. So
I think it's different. Obviously, Minneapolis has a huge population base and his, you know, artists to draw from and stuff.
yeah.
Imagine Duluth has a lot, and we have, but not that.
Uh-oh.
You know.
Yeah, but you need to talk to Eileen, you know, for ideas, for more information, because I'm just very much on the periphery
Oh,
of,
no, that's fine. We were just.
yeah. And we also have these partnerships, you know, McPhail provides us with a lot. They give us our space, they give us our teaching artists, Jeannie and our pianist, our employees of McPhail.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I think we have a different situation than a lot of the other choruses.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's so good, right? I just, you know, I love our chorus so much, and I just love the opportunity to see what others are doing, and it makes me so happy and proud, and makes you just want to, you know, shout it from the mountaintops that oh, this is so wonderful, and these people have value, and you know, it's fun, and it's fun for everybody. Let's bring in the kids. Let's, you know, bring in the high school kids, and
I agree.
have them get over that stigma that this is a bad thing. It's not so bad to have dementia. You can still have fun and you can contribute, and, you know, right? It's like, so.
You know what we did that was great, but 2 years before the pandemic, Susie knew a choral director at a smaller high school, Stewartville, small town south of Rochester, and they learned 2 of our songs, and they actually joined our spring concert 2 years ago, and they sang 2 songs along with us. So as those songs came out, and they just mingled in among our chorale, and they
also sing a few of their own.
Right, we let them sing it. Right. So good news. They, you know, we made a video with them, so that was very touching. That they acknowledged that they knew nothing about dementia. They were impressed with how well our group sang, but also from a practical point of view, got them talking about it. Their family members came to the concert. I mean, it just was one of those things that was a win-win, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
Can you, and forgive my ignorance, so the Giving Voice was the choir, and the Giving Voice initiative grew out of that. Can you explain that to me just briefly?
Well, Giving Voice wasn't, I think Giving Voice Initiative was the name of the 501(c)(3) that they put together within the first year that we organized. But it started as just an idea of this would be a great thing to do. And Mary Leonard, she was there today. She was our former executive director. She had been, I think, a director of the Alzheimer's Association in Minnesota and North Dakota. Had some background in that and organizing. And then her friend Marge Ostrushko has an immense musical background and production background. I mean, she's from NPR and a Prairie Home Companion and just, you know, Peabody Awards and just like amazing people. And they put together these groups, focus groups, and, you know, is this going to work? And came up with McPhail and this partnership and tried it for that first semester, and it was just magical. And so I somewhere in there, they formed, you know, okay, this is going to work. Let's do a nonprofit. And so in addition to doing the chorus, they made a commitment to, okay, well, let's expand it and let's do research. And so they brought in people from the U of M to do some research. And they, let's see, I lost my train of thought. this giving voice, they did the toolkit, right away. It's like, let's treat us as like a little laboratory model for what would be good, and then distill the elements so we can help others. And so when they put together our website, that toolkit was a big part of it from the very beginning.
Sure.
And that was part of the mission from the beginning, to expand this out and create other choruses. So that's the name of the organization. And there's 3 choruses. We started off with just the Wednesday morning Minneapolis. And then after our first concert, it was like, oh, everyone wanted to do it. So we expanded the second one. And then within a year and a half, maybe, it was like, oh, we expanded to St. Paul too, because we just had so many people that wanted to do it. Then I think they said, okay, we're done. We can't do this. This is, I don't know. But so our chorus are named Giving Voice Chorus. Giving Voice Initiative is, is the nonprofit that runs it. And then we have this unique partnership with McPhail Center for Music, like I said, that provides our beautiful space. It's amazing. And the teaching artists and our registration system and a lot of, extra stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great partnership.
Mm-hmm. But, it's also another layer of complexity too, because one has multiple bosses and, requirements for things. But yeah, it's really amazing. We're really, really fortunate.
Well, thanks for explaining. I hate to.
I don't know if I did a very good job, but you might find more information on the website. I sang with us for about 4 years before I figured it out too, because I didn't even know. I just knew these people were there and everyone was working hard, and we just all made it happen, which is still what it is. But we all do kind of have our little official roles of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting this.
Yeah, thanks. Nice
well,
to
you're
see you.
welcome.
Nice to meet you, Karen.
Was that our warning that we have to go back?
Yeah.
Yes, 35 seconds.
30 seconds. So we'll see ya. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye.